Welcome to Cambridge House Live. I'm Bridget Anderson and I am joined by Ryan Holmes, the founder and CEO of Hootsuite. Very nice to have you with us.
Thank you very much, Bridget.
Now, most of the people in this room are looking to raise capital, and you have been very successful in raising capital over the last several years. How have you been able to do that?
Well, we started the company, came out of an agency that I founded in 2000. The company was founded, Hootsuite, founded in December of 2009. We bootstrapped it for the first year and then looked for funding kind of halfway through that year. And so we were really fundraising in kind of a tough time in the market, but it was really about proving traction and growth in the company. And ended up closing our round in January 2010. It was our Series A, and it was 1.9 million round.
Now, your revenue generation model is pretty simple. So is that one of the keys to being able to get to that capital?
No, we raised it on just traction in terms of our user growth. We hadn't hit our monetization at that point, so our revenue model was down the road. And having bootstrapped it for a year, we were bootstrapping it 7 people on a 21-person team. So that's really expensive for any company to have 1/3 of your workforce working on a zero revenue product. But we could see the amazing opportunity and could see the growth that we were having. And so we just couldn't put it down. So that's when the fundraising process started. And basically the 1.9 million we raised was enough to keep scaling team up and to help us get through that year until we got to monetization November of last year.
Now, you are an expert in social media. Talk to me about the value of that for some of the people here in this room. This is the junior mining sector, and they may shy away from social media, but what is the business value for them?
Well, over the past couple of years, the conversation around social media has been, is it relevant? Is it here to stay? Twitter, is it a fad? Facebook, is it a fad? With Facebook over 800 million users globally, we've seen that it's not a fad. And so the conversation in the last year has really changed from should we get on Facebook and Twitter to how are we going to, because it's inevitable that brands and companies need to get on social media. Social media is the most disruptive form of communication since email, which disrupted telephone, which disrupted everything else before it. And so we're seeing this massive shift. And so we're seeing enterprise getting on board, small, medium businesses. And the ROI that you see out of it is massive. So we're seeing companies that are investing in social media that are decreasing email spend in favor of this, decreasing online marketing and ad spend in favor of this, and then shifting traditional into this form of communication. And the big reason is the social graph. So when you send a message and your followers or friends on Twitter or Facebook see that message, they then retweet it, and that goes through all of their friends are now able to see it. So it has this built-in viral element. And that's really the huge, huge value of social media that no other form of marketing really has.
So can you offer some advice or tools to some companies and looking at resource companies as a whole, how would they best utilize social media for their best ROI?
Well, there's in terms of tools, I'm obviously a bit biased here. Our tool is probably the best in the market. But in terms of strategies, there's a lot of axioms around real simple strategies for social media. First off, if you're getting on board, just kind of listen to what people are saying for a while, get your feet wet and kind of get a feel for what's going on. Look for brands that are doing really well in social media. Starbucks, Coke, Pepsi, all of these brands are forerunners in it and are really leading kind of good best practices. From there, I think there's another axiom, which is really listening, and putting out messages, and putting out messages that aren't just pure marketing copy, putting out messages that are interesting, useful, relevant to people that could be following you.
So about engagement rather than pure promotion.
Yeah, it's not about pure promotion. It's about adding value. And if you add value, then those messages are going to get remessaged, and there's a much softer way of building user base and follower growth, and then interjecting every so often something that still has value, but it could be relevant and interesting to your followers and fans. And so whether that's a marketing piece, 1 every 10 messages that is somehow softly tailored around that, or just like an internal press piece or whatever it is. Tempering that, and it's not a marketing channel, a pure advertising channel, and that's what a lot of people kind of initially come out on, and where they stumble a little bit in the beginning.
I think it was on Twitter last fall that I read an interesting piece about you, a little tidbit that was dropped. I think you were seen somewhere maybe in Gastown or one part of Vancouver meeting with Mark Zuckerberg from Facebook. I think I read it on Twitter. So what happened there?
Don't believe everything you read on Twitter.
That maybe Facebook was going to take you out. So.
Well, no, those rumors are false. I love Facebook as a company. They've been an amazing platform and partner for us, and we're a preferred developer for Facebook. Where we sit is really a social media Switzerland between all of the social networks, Twitter, Facebook, Google+, LinkedIn, etc. And we just want to be a hub and helping brands and power users, enterprise marketers sit between all of these social media channels and message to them and learn from them the analytics, etc. around what they're doing. So
did you actually meet with
although
him?
It's flattering, no, we didn't meet up, but
meet?
we will someday. I'm highly certain. No, we're not in acquisition talks there.
Okay, well, I guess I'll hear about it on Twitter
right.
if you in fact do meet with him.
You will.
Talk to me about some of the trends that you see in social media over the next year or two, just in the near term.
Well, as I mentioned, we've had this shift from is social media relevant to how are we doing social media, and I think that whole conversation has changed now to an acceptance and an adoption. So generally, I think the big trends are going to be discovering ROI in social media. So a lot of teams had experimental budget around building out a social media team, but now how do they prove that they need to scale that? And that's really showing ROI in what they're doing. And so, that's a big focus in our product, showing conversion to whether it's an e-commerce transaction or lead generation or whatever it is through the social media campaigning that brands are doing. I think that another big trend is going to be a broader adoption within the organization. So, we've seen support teams and marketing teams picking up social media, but I think we're going to see more of the organization, sales, support, PR, HR, IR, management, all getting involved and all being involved in this conversation because it's very important to the whole organization. And brands and companies that don't adopt it, I think it's going to be the same as them not having a telephone system a year from now.
A year from now, really?
Yeah, I think if they don't have a strategy around this, if they don't understand how it's being used in their organization, they're going to be just running without a map. And the other thing is their competitors are going to be eating their lunch. So they need to get involved to avoid this. And so it's really going to be competition that starts to spark this off.
Now, what about Hootsuite? What's in store for you for 2012? Looking at an IPO route? Because you didn't do that first off.
Right.
And many of the people in here, these companies in here would have gone that route.
Yeah, I think an IPO would probably be a ways out for us. We're still adding a ton of value. The company is cash flow positive at this point. We started the year with zero revenue and closed with a 10 million run rate. And this year we're looking at closing at about a 6x that. So it's still on this great growth rate. So what we probably will do is just keep executing on the plan. And then assess our options in a year or so.
Are you facing much competition in your space particularly?
There's always going to be competition. At this point, we're kind of had this shift from being chasing other groups and being a bit of the underdog to now kind of being the incumbent. Being 3 years in, we've seen a few of our competitors get bought out, and now they're kind of doing what they do within a larger company.
That's still a risk for you, though, too.
Well, it's a risk and an opportunity, but
yes.
That is something that could be on our radar. But I think at this point we're just growing so quickly and having so much fun with it. I don't really anticipate that happening for the next while. So we have a lot of there's Me Too's that are trying to copy us and do what we do, but we're 3 years ahead, and so as long as we keep evolving and iterating as rapidly as we are, it's going to be pretty hard to catch up.
Great. Thanks very much, Ryan. I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
I'll just